Welcome to the January 12th, 2021 episode of Reactive Consciousness. Man, I'm still getting that.
I was going to mention,
yeah, that was
flawless
pretty good
record
on
the whole
2021.
year.
I can write a check for the for the new year and not have it not bounce. I used to work as a bank teller, and catching that like right when the new year flipped was something we had to do because at 6 months checks go stale.
Yeah, so, you can't write like January 12th, 2020.
So lots of old ladies,
lots
of old ladies, writing checks for their loved ones. Actually ends up giving them a hard time, and you have people like, why are you giving me a hard time? It's like, no, you don't understand. It's a bad check. I can't do it. Like, I can't even give you like a gimme or whatever. You know. The in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is
Lotus Prince.
And we have another wonderful show here. And here we are talking about things a lot less important than what's going on elsewhere.
Well, that kind of leads me to what I wanted to talk about, because there's the we should probably open with this, the very glaring elephant in the room, which is the obvious fact that we forgot to talk about MAGFest last week.
Yeah. So
how embarrassing.
Yeah. We do have to talk about that because it is. We talk about MAGFest quite a bit because we love it. And it is also a fixture of our friend group. And we've done many podcasts live from MAGFest. So recorded.
Yeah, we recorded them. Whatever.
Come on.
Coming to you live.
I was an English major too, Lotus.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
We were in the same grad school.
That's true.
That's how we met. So anyway, we didn't address it because I forgot all about it. Just because
I got so caught up in what I was doing, I forgot
but in all
about
seriousness,
it.
So like every other good thing, it's been ruined. Which really, really sucks. So essentially, the gist of what happened was that the newly in charge CEO of the MAGFest company that arranges everything has apparently been reported by volunteers and full-time employees to be abusive in terms of verbal abuse and workplace abuse, that kind of thing. Nothing sexual as far as I can tell. No sexual abuse, but just like verbal abuse, like people being called idiots and that kind of stuff, like unprofessionalism. Let's just put it that way. Is what I gathered from it, and also, we know that this has been a really tough year for any event. So, I'm sure there were all kinds of things going on behind the scenes, including money troubles and things like that. Because this was one of the biggest conventions of the year nationally, and they couldn't run it. Just because of the pandemic situation. So,
biggest conventions of the year in a matter of speaking.
I don't. I think it literally is. The only thing that I know that's bigger than that is San Diego Comic-Con. I don't think there's anything bigger.
What about Anime Expo? I think it's freaking huge.
Okay, well, it's
Otakon,
still one of the biggest in the country.
Like MAGFest, when it comes down to it, is in a hotel.
Yeah, but it's one of the biggest in the country. It still is. I don't think you can refute that. It's bigger than Otakon at this point. Yeah. So anyway, it came down to that, and apparently almost all a huge number of volunteers and part-time, full-time workers that had their health care and all that stuff through the company got fired for raising an HR complaint against the CEO, and almost everybody got fired. So anybody that you would care about, the people that used to run it, like last year and before are not involved anymore anyway. So it seems to me like what once was MAGFest is completely gone, and you wouldn't want to be a part of it anyway.
Yeah, like the events is still there, but it'll be a different animal.
Well,
I think they actually had MAGFest this year, just like virtually.
Yeah, but that
I mean, like, that's what are you gonna do?
I mean, MAGFest is about the opportunity to hang out in the coolest way possible.
Yeah.
And if you can't hang out, what's the point? That's kind of why, like off the air, our friend group has even like thrown around like getting a cabin somewhere once the pandemic's over, just to like kind of throw our own MAGFest, kind of have a fun time and
show up, play board games, watch movies or whatever. It doesn't have to be like an extravaganza. Like, we're there to hang out with each other.
Yeah, exactly, and that's all we really ever wanted anyway, right? So, in fact, it might be less complicated that way. It might be better.
You won't have to bust your ass renting in a hotel.
Yeah, and no con plague. Like I'm not even talking about coronavirus, but
Yeah, the sickness that you get more often than not whenever you go to any convention.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with any of the unwashed masses, which are
the literal unwashed masses. Yes. Like,
I'm
when people go to cons
hyperbolic.
and talk about con plague, you see how fast that shit spreads. We don't need that with an actual faster spreading, deadlier disease.
I'm not even being hyperbolic. There are a lot of people that just don't take care of themselves.
Yeah, there was one New York Comic Con where they're like in the little totes they were giving out like, what was it, like deodorant or hand sanitizer or something?
Oh yeah,
it's like, fucking take a shower, you pigs.
MAGFest tends to be a little bit better as far as that's concerned. It's not as bad as Otakon,
which is ironic, by the way, because MAGFest is open 24 hours and the others are not. What the fuck are you doing that you can't shower?
I just think it's the clientele. Like MAGFest has a lot of people, has a lot of cool people hang out at it. Whereas Otakon does have those people, but it also has
like people who have to go back to their rooms at night. Like I don't know what's going on with this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like at MAGFest, I don't recommend this, but you really could stay up literally all night in the arcade. Like, in the dealer's room is, dead. But like the arcade games, whatever. The board game room, okay.
The kinds of stenches that I encounter at Otakon, I've never experienced.
Yeah, that's pretty real.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the difference in.
I have encountered it once. Like, one of the first times I went to MAGFest, actually.
Well, you're gonna get whiffs, but like this is. Otakon is literally like in a heat box, like.
That is true. It's Baltimore in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, it's just gross.
And by the way, just for context, by the way, like I don't go to Otakon anymore, but I went for a decade. I'm one of the people who goes to Otakon, but I'm also one of the people who has heard of this mysterious invention called soap.
Yeah. I mean, we're long goers of both conventions. I would consider us experts on the subject. But and MAGFest, we even went to it before it was at the Gaylord. We were OG MAGFest fans.
Yeah, the Alexandria. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember trying to get a freaking pizza. It was tough.
Yeah.
Because it was late at night. And there just wasn't the infrastructure for it at the time.
Well, that's one of those things. Yeah. You go anywhere outside of like where we live, and you are quickly reminded that the rest of the country does not, stay up to all hours of the night doing
you
business.
You and I are used to Philadelphia and New York, where you could get.
Yeah, like back when we were in college, there was this one pizza place that fucking opened at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And like, meanwhile, we
Tata's
went to
Pizza.
Yeah, Tata's Pizza. And meanwhile, we went to like PAX East one year in Boston, and we're like, man, what a happening place! It's a college town. And we went out somewhere at like 6 or 7. Like, what can we do at 6 or 7? And the whole city like shut down. They're like, go to bed, you weirdos. And we're like, oh, I mean, not go to bed, but like go home, you weirdos.
Noodle Gourmet open till 2 a.m. man.
That's
but
amazing.
Anyway.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I mean, like, we went to Rutgers, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, that place is freaking delicious, by the way.
Oh, I love Noodle Gourmet. But anyway, that town has really changed, though. Since when I return, I see so many changes, just because, like, I haven't been there.
Well, yeah, Route 18, like, the construction finished, like, which was not finished the entirety of our student career. We're like, is this ever gonna finish?
It just feels seedier. Maybe I didn't notice it before, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But Easton isn't what it used to be. But no grease trucks either. So anyway.
Yeah, it was replaced with the pizza place.
But yeah, I'm not gonna support a MAGFest that is abusive towards its employees, and is it run by anybody who doesn't love it, love it like we do.
Yeah.
All the fun with MAGFest was that it was clearly loved by the people that ran it. They love it, and the people that volunteer for it did it because they love it. And you're not gonna get volunteers. Amazing volunteers that should be paid. I might add.
I mean, that's not what a volunteer is, but well, kind of.
Well, these people are top-notch volunteers.
Yeah.
At MAGFest, they help people out when they get sick. They help people find things when they lose them. They help them.
Yep.
They help children reunite with their parents. They keep the peace. They keep people moving. They keep us hydrated.
That's definitely a thing. Those water cooler things get refilled all the time.
They help with innumerable amounts of things. They help also with relations with the hotel staff, which can be tense if something bad goes down.
Yeah, you have a bunch of jackass party goers who are like forget where they are.
Yeah, exactly. They're in a fucking public place, no matter where you are.
At a very classy hotel as well.
Yeah, and we are guests, But what I'm trying to say here is you only have volunteers like that if they love it, because it is hard work. So only somebody who wants to perpetuate an event like that, because they have love for it. If they don't have love for it, if you are jerking them around or abusing them, you're gonna lose what makes something so great. And MAGFest was always felt like the best fan event in the world. It was put together by fans and was perpetuated by fans. And it came. The genesis of the idea was a 4-day party that never ended for gamers and music lovers.
Yeah, in case anybody didn't know, MAG is music and games, or gaming, or whatever.
Yeah,
and then Fest for festival.
I can't think of anything else like it. I can't think of a place where you could go in at 2 a.m. and find a rave going on somewhere. A sanctioned one.
I was going to say, even at Otakon, Otakon had the rave, but eventually that convention hall shut down.
Yeah, no, it's going on all night. You can find one at 4 a.m. if you wanted to.
Yeah. If someone feels like starting one, then sure.
Yeah, there are jam spaces that are set aside specifically so people can do these things, at any time of the night. And you're allowed to do it because it's segregated from, all the rooms and stuff, so you can't hear it from up there.
Yeah.
But there's no other event space like this. You don't have to go outside unless, you're at one of the other hotels. So it's really a shame to see something like this go to hell. And I'm certainly not going to, I'm a person of principles. I don't buy games from people I don't like, that are bad actors. I don't do that. I don't subscribe to things that I don't agree with, and I'm certainly not going to go out of my way to go to a festival, and pay good money to, and at great cost get hotel rooms and stuff.
Yeah, this is not just a casual outing. If I want to go to a convention that's within very easy driving distance that I can drive right back home from, the whole thing's $20, then that's one thing. But we have to drive out there you're a little more south now, but still I have to drive out 3.5 hours. We got to get a hotel room for 4 nights. Yeah.
I'm still about equidistant for you, actually.
Okay.
Because I'm very close to 76, which is how you would get to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and if you're near Philly, then you're you're probably about 50, 60 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm about equidistant from my old apartment.
And by the way, listeners, the reason I'm not 100% sure on how far my friend is from me is that I haven't been to his new house because of the pandemic.
you're literally my closest friend that I talk to the most, and we haven't seen each other in the flesh in almost a year.
Like I've been to his other 2 locations, but not this one.
Yeah, I literally talk to you multiple times a week, and also work on a project with you every single week, and I haven't seen you in the flesh. It's terrible. We've sent each other gifts, over the mail and stuff like that, just because there's no other way to do it. It really sucks. You've never seen my house, which is like this is like old news to me because I've been living here since May. But you haven't seen me since I've been married, and you're one of my groomsmen.
Yeah, nope. Yeah, that is pretty funny, actually. Retroactive marriage.
Yeah. So I am getting married, the traditional way later on this year, hopefully. But we did a legal intimate ceremony just so we could get married in the meantime. So, as a lot of people are doing. But anyway, in other news, we should move on because there's a lot of news here. So this next one is yours, I believe.
Yeah, this is mostly going to be me. So AGDQ has come and gone, and it was a lot of fun, as is to be expected. Just like Summer GDQ, SGDQ 2020, this was virtual. So once again, you don't get the crowd, you don't get the dynamic between the couch and
cheering and all that stuff.
Yeah. But you do get the potential to have streamers that you would not have normally had because they can't get over there, they just never did, they're brand new, whatever, they're in another country, they can't reasonably get over here, that kind of thing. So there's opportunity for that. There were some standout things that I thought were quite entertaining. Someone actually did a Shinobi Legion for the Saturn, so I got to watch those live action cutscenes, which was pretty entertaining. It's just cheesy movie fighting. It's kind of great.
That's awesome.
And it was subtitled because the actors are speaking Japanese. They did Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones is pretty fun to see. Yeah. Those cutscenes are legit, by the way.
I gotta sell my copy of that. It's too expensive to keep.
Yeah, it's not even like a fun looking game. It's just very interesting.
It's one of those games that is a cult game. Number one, not a lot of it has been produced. It's never been ported. It's for an obscure system, relatively speaking, and it's also has a horror theme, so that carries some weight.
It barely has a horror theme. Yeah, there are skeletons in it.
Spooky stuff tends to have a higher price point.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
One thing I thought was interesting. I haven't seen the run yet, but now I might want to, because normally, people did Diablo 3, but normally I don't care about watching runs like that because it's all just isometric, watching characters throw numbers at other characters. I'm not really seeing active movement. But what I thought was pretty interesting is that they did a 3-player co-op run of Diablo 3. There were several co-op runs, actually, like Resident Evil 5, Serious Sam 1 and 2. This was a 3-player co-op run of Diablo 3, and I caught the very end. And what was really interesting is that every once in a while at Games Done Quick, that's the run where someone sets a world record, right? It's pretty exciting when they say, oh, I just got a world record in the game I was playing right here in front of all these people, and the crowd cheers. In fact, the Shinobi Legions guy got a world record. But One thing I thought was pretty great was the Diablo 3 guys, not only did they get a world record, they beat the 4-person co-op record with 3 people, which is fucking ridiculous. They stomped that game into the ground. So now I kind of want to see how they did that, because that's insane. What else was there? I haven't seen this one yet either, but I look forward to seeing the VOD. Somebody got 16 stars in Super Mario 64 and beat the game blindfolded. So
what? Blindfolded?
I don't know how the fuck you do that. It's so easy to mess up in a game like Mario 64.
Do the Rubik's Cube. You are some kind of superhero that I can never pretend to be.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. There was a 100% completion run of Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and
Neat.
like, I don't ever plan on playing that game, but watching that game played well, that is so cool. There are so many cool tricks that you can do that don't even involve glitches. That's just like incredibly precise shots with the eggs and stuff like that, and crazy jumps. It's very entertaining to watch.
Neat.
There was a Half-Life 1 run, which I don't think I've seen in a while, actually, which is kind of nice.
Did they do vanilla, or did they do Black Mesa? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it was vanilla.
I'm sure they would have called it Black Mesa.
Yeah, they would have said Black Mesa version or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, recently, like around holiday time, Steam put on like a sale for like the Half-Life series.
Sure.
And they included Black Mesa in the sale.
Oh, that's cool. So they're giving it the nod.
Oh, well, not only that, but they're basically officially canonizing it as the official
the version
of one.
Yeah.
So, which is Black Mesa Twitter account was had the shed a tear emoji.
That's pretty great.
To being included.
Yeah, we did it. We're in.
Series. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, and there was also a Silent Hill 3 run, a Haunting Ground run, which I would love to watch, but will not because I haven't played the game myself, but I will definitely come back to that one.
Yeah.
You know what was interesting? Resident Evil 1 PS1, but arrange mode on the director's cut. That doesn't come up often, so that was kind of cool to see too. Because arrange mode has a bunch of differences, different item placements, different camera angles, so you're watching a largely different game, which was pretty cool. So I'm always happy to see stuff like that as well.
That is interesting.
There's a lot of runs I need to catch up on. FF7 as well. So, I think it's old FF7. A lot of stuff that I need to go back to. You know, I can't watch literally 24 hours. I will say this, though. As a bonus game, the final game was Ocarina of Time. I think it was, all bosses. So they did in 50 minutes with heavy glitching. But before that, they did Pokemon Blue, again with heavy glitching and exploits and missing no one stuff. But even so, catch them all in around an hour and 50 minutes. It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so GDQ, good times. And they raised $2.5 million for charity.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where there's just a consistent number for them too, 2.5 million every time.
Not only that, but they were able to pull off this kind of loyalty with with a different situation than they normally have. Number one, and two, during a time in which people have less to give.
Yeah, and again, they're getting good at this setup now, because not only was there SGDQ before, but if you go to their YouTube channel, and honestly their Twitch channel, the YouTube stuff is the VODs, but they've been doing not GDQ stuff, but they've been doing various few day long events of a particular theme or something like that, or first step, you think you can't speedrun because you see what we do and you're how do I get that good? Well, you can get that good. Here are some steps. And they have all sorts of stuff going on their YouTube channel, so they're, even when it's not actually GDQ, they have things to occupy you throughout the year, which is pretty great.
That is awesome. That's really, really cool. So, I also had a couple people. I also knew of a couple people that were participating. It's
Marvelous.
Really neat. Would you? I know this normally isn't your thing, but maybe if you picked a specific game and got really good at it, which I could see you doing, would you ever consider doing it?
The thought has crossed my mind, but there are so many games where it's we've been practicing for thousands of hours. My guess, and this is almost cheating, but it would be one of the Typing of the Dead games, I think, because it's just typing.
You're so good at it.
Yeah.
You would deserve it.
I'm not getting world record, but I could see myself attempting that.
But you could do it just for the charity, and you.
Oh yeah.
You'd bring in a crowd. You're really good at it.
And by the way, I will say this. By the way, there are certain things. Maybe I can't speedrun with glitches or whatever, but I will say that when I used when I was playing Resident Evil 1, and I just wanted it to hurry the fuck up because I was capturing footage for my big comparison video, so I need to play through the game like 10,000 times in different versions. At one point, I just wanted to get to the end credits, so I looked up a guide that said how to do it with Chris in like, the rocket launcher time is like 3 hours, and this was like an hour and 25 minutes. I didn't hit 125, but I certainly did it in under 2 hours, which I didn't think was like a reasonable request to make, but it is. And that was my first time trying it, just following a literal walkthrough in text on GameFAQs. So it can be done, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, that's really amazing, man. I hope that one day you do it, because I would love to watch you do it and cheer you on.
And as a bonus, if I ever were to do it, I would tell the crowd, name as many JoJo references as you can, because all the bosses are named not after fucking JoJo stands, they're tarot cards, but I can make the connection.
It's a world, though.
I think House of the Dead 4 might have actually had a JoJo reference, because there are 2 bosses in rapid succession, which are the Star and the World, and I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, no way. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Any final words on that before we go into other stuff? We have plenty of other things.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll mention is that for the first time ever, I saw Chaos in the Windy City run, and...
Oh, man.
You know what?
The game's pretty alright.
Well, nah. But like, in Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, there are a lot of like original content, do not steal, like stupid monsters.
Yeah, but a lot of them are stolen from that game.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first mini boss that was made up of a bunch of basketballs. That was from that game.
Guy.
The weird zombie looking like big fat goofy like distorted basketball players. They're just like that's from that game. Just a big whistle. I thought for sure Tales of Games took that. It's just a fucking whistle, but nope, that was an actual enemy in that game. I was like, what is this? So that was kind of funny to me.
Wow.
You could tell when Tog did it because they have like MS Paint stuff on it, like a basketball with like spider legs drawn on it, like crudely, like that was Tog.
I wish somebody would update that game, like
even for DirectX 17.
Yeah, well. That's not the real reason. Like I don't know many modern systems that can actually do that game in real full screen. Like it like just because of the way it was programmed. Like
it's like windowed mode all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
I don't know if I've ever played that game full screen.
If I try to put it in full screen, what will happen is it will shrink it to the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah, so. And we gotta do we gotta do that game again, but with Albed settings.
Oh.
And Victorian steampunk mode activated.
That to date, that's still my favorite LP I've done with you.
That was very fun.
Even though we've done a lot of really good ones, but like Snatcher in all seriousness.
Well, Snatcher as a serious LP, Doki Doki, like we definitely had our like interactive moments, but like
I mean, we also have our Laz Rule games, but
the fucker in the woods, like I was crying.
I don't know, Bobo with the
Wakizashi.
Bobo's Big Adventure.
Yes, that was a very good one.
I don't know if we could play that game anymore.
Yeah, maybe not.
Because Flash is dead. But anyway, we should move on.
Yes.
So, Limited Run Games certainly had a really cool week of announcements. So,
yes.
The first one being, I'm gonna say probably the one people are less excited for, but I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Sheeran the Wanderer. Was it 4?
It might have been.
Yeah, I think it's 4. It was the one that came out it used to be a Vita exclusive. So the Wanderer 4, yeah. Oh, that was a PSP game. No, it's 5. Okay. So yeah, it's Sheeran the Wanderer 5, the Tower of Fortune, and the Dice of Fate. That Jeremy Parrish of GameSpite and Retronauts and 1UP fame and US Gamer, tons of things that he's known for, but he's a big roguelike fan, and he says that this is one of the best roguelikes ever made. So I do have a copy of the Vita version, but I had never gotten to it. But this was finally released in the US on Nintendo Switch on December 3rd. or December 2nd rather, and they finally announced that the physical edition of this from Limited Run Games, and I'm definitely glad that I waited and did not get the digital version, because this is going to be like one of those games that's like it's going to be a cult game for sure, because it's a Spike Chunsoft game. Those are always really high quality, but this is like an example of one of the best games of its type. So Shiren the Wanderer, for those of you that didn't know, like the very first one was a Super Famicom game that was a spin-off of Dragon Quest V, I believe. When Spike Chunsoft used to make the Dragon Quest series, they made 1 through 5, I think. But
it was like just Chunsoft or something, wasn't it?
Yes, Chunsoft. It used to be Chunsoft then. You are correct. That's like saying Square Enix made it. Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly.
But they used to they made that game, and it was one of the first major roguelikes for consoles. There were console roguelikes before that. There was Fatal Labyrinth for the Sega Genesis, which was originally a Sega Net game. Like, it was like a game that you like downloaded. It was like one of those games, and it came out in cartridge in the US. And that had even like a Sega Master System spin-off called Dark Crystal. But Shiren the Wanderer really kicked this genre off for Japanese players and console players alike. It hadn't really come over here until the DS version came out, which is a shame, because like we were deprived of the history of roguelikes, really. And really, roguelikes didn't take their hold in the U.S. until like the roguelites started hitting, and then
we had a few, but they didn't really stick. Like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was probably as interested as anyone got because of the Pokemon name alone.
Yeah, and they were easier. Let's face it. They were a lot easier than Shiren the Wanderer would ever be. Shiren the Wanderer tends to be really brutal. But they're a lot of fun, and have a ton of features as time goes on. And I'm really looking forward to playing this game and getting the physical edition. It looks really great, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. And it's also really great that it's no longer tied to the Vita, because who wants to? I mean, the Vita was a great system.
It's on its way out.
But I mean, the amount of games that you need a Vita to play these days are very, very slim. Yeah. You have the Uncharted game, and very few other games, really.
Silent Hill Book of Memories, everyone's favorite.
Yeah, Silent Hill Book of Memories.
That one Monkey Ball game.
Monkey Ball, yeah.
There are a few like esoteric ones, like I don't think this one's been ported. A Rose in the Twilight.
I don't even know what that is. What is that? An Idea Factory game?
It sounds like that. It's Nisa.
Oh, okay. Like all the major really great Vita games have been ported, including probably the biggest one, which is
Persona 4 Golden.
Golden, yeah, has gotten a PC release recently. So, the Vita was a great little system, but if I can play all of these games like in a better form on a system that is very easily transitions between TV and handheld, and is current and all that stuff, I'm gonna want it. So it belongs on the Switch. It all modernized. So I'm very excited about this. Let me see what is included in the package, because Limited Run has been doing some really nice stuff.
Yeah, they tend to have, like, when they do have collector's editions, they usually go pretty nuts with it.
Yeah,
the other game, they went way over the top.
They're including an art book, which is always really nice.
I'm
a couple art prints that are very stunning, actually. And let me see here. They're also doing a vanilla version, $35.
Yeah, same goes for the other game. They have a regular, just here's the game, which I appreciate. I don't want to have to like if I'm gonna get a physical, it's gotta be super expensive. Like I didn't end up getting that Samurai Showdown like new anthology because it was like CE only, and it's like more money than I'm willing to spend on freaking Samurai Showdown games.
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, what's also really funny about this collector's edition is it comes with a stress ball, like shaped like one of the characters in the game, so you can like squeeze it when you're mad. Because,
not bad.
Because it's a roguelike, it's gonna make you mad.
Yeah.
So that's what it does. So I'm excited for that. I'll get probably the $35 edition, honestly, but this is still a really nice package. It looks neat. And the other one, which is even more important, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game.
Yeah, this has been hyped for like years. When is somebody going to re-release this game?
Yeah,
I mean, Limited Run Games isn't releasing the game, but they're doing a physical for it.
They first of all, this is the first time it's ever been re-released, ever been released physically. It never got a physical release back when it originally came out for PS3 and 360.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fantastic. That number one. And number two, it's going to have all of the DLC, of course. It's going to have everything. They're even doing a couple different covers. They did one that looks like in the style of Sonic Adventure, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's clever.
Yeah. Also, this is the most requested game for Limited Run ever. So
yeah, people have been
like
begging for this forever. Yeah, so this is a very big deal.
This is a very special thing too, because you got to think about the amount of work that this took in order to endure. There were a lot of licenses involved in this. In fact, on the poster, you can already see the Universal logo, who has the rights to the movie, Ubisoft, who made the game, and I know, and Anna Monoguchi's on this on this announcement as well, which is the band who made the music.
One of the versions of the game actually comes with the soundtrack.
Yeah, which is absolutely worth it. It's actually one of my top 10 favorite soundtracks of all time. I love the soundtrack in this game. It's amazing. I have it on vinyl. It's probably worth something at this point, because I don't think they made many of that. Yeah, I mean, just like the other one, there's going to be a fair price of the standard edition for PS4 and Switch for $35.
Yeah, and then they have the collector's edition. Then they have like the super,
which is still reasonable. It's at $55.
I think that one comes with the soundtrack. That's the one I'll be looking for.
Yeah, I mean that is $55 is actually extremely reasonable, I think, for a limited for collector's edition. So let me
the super collector's edition involves like a fold out case that has like the band on stage. It's really cool, but I don't need it.
Yeah. The regular collector's edition comes with an overworld map, which is really nice, which has all of Toronto on it.
Yeah, that's right. It is like straight up Toronto. Yeah.
Original soundtrack in CD form. A clamshell case with reversible cover, kind of similar to the Genesis style ones that they did for Streets of Rage 4. I'm sure they're the same ones. A sticker sheet and concert tickets, like that aren't.
I can't wait to see Sex Bomb in concert.
But just like ones that would look like concert tickets for the show.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. New artwork and original artwork, which is really neat. Really, really neat stuff. And then the Ultra Edition, like you said, that has a basically a diorama pop up when you open it up.
It looks freaking gorgeous. It does. Like I'm not gonna get
it. It's $160 though.
Yeah. But even if it were cheaper, I still wouldn't actually I don't have a place to put it. But like it is very cool.
It comes with drumsticks, guitar picks. I mean, this is over the top, but
yeah, a lot of stuff that I don't care about.
I'm sure there are plenty of people that are really jonesing for this, because this is
that thing's gonna sell out in a second. You just watch.
This is like their number one requested thing. It comes with an enamel pin, a trading card set with the 7 evil X's on it. There is a cassette version as well as the CD version of the soundtrack in here. And this is the thing that I'm jealous of that we won't have access to in the regular collectors. The guidebook. I wish we had access to that.
Yeah, it's a damn shame.
Yeah, the guidebook is like the one thing that I wish I had out of this. It's not like a tchotchke like everything else is.
Yeah.
But I mean, the drumsticks are special drumsticks that have like animations on it, which is really neat. This is really, really neat stuff. And we're very privileged that this game got a re-release completely intact. Because like they could have easily just released this without the soundtrack, which is part of the reason why it's so good. This is really neat, and I'm sure there's all kinds of other fringe stuff that you can buy along with it. Yeah, you trading card packs, and keychains and stuff. So this is really, really, really cool stuff, and I'm very, very happy that this is here. This is also one of the best beat 'em ups of all time. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. As far as beat 'em ups go, you can't really ask for too much more. A great license, great music, great style. It's 4-player. It's based on a really great license. It has RPG elements. It takes its structure from a great classic beat 'em up like River City Ransom. And beautiful pixel art by one of probably the best pixel artists alive. I'm just gonna say it, or one of them. Paul Robertson is just like, look up his animations online. They're just fantastic. You've seen a bunch of this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Pirate Cabana Baby, and Kings of Power 3000%, and all those stuff. Those are really, really awesome. You should definitely seek those out. Moving on for that, some more depressing crap. So there was a company out there that wanted to put out PS2 themed versions of PS5 stuff. So these are not official, but they were very professional looking, to the point where you wouldn't really be able to tell they weren't official. Had you followed this at all?
No, I didn't even hear about this.
Okay, so I'll drop the link in here so you can even comment on what it looks like, because these are pretty cool looking. In fact, I think it's a better looking design than the actual PS5.
The actual PS5 design is kind of bizarre looking.
This looks cooler to me. So they were bringing it more in line with the look of the PS2. It's a little bit more angular, kind of like has a Darth Vader look to it.
I see what they're doing.
Yeah, and they look really, really nice. But they of course were going to be limited, even though these were like professionally done. They were still kind of done by a fan company. And of course they were going to pay. You're going to have to pay for, more than what you would pay for, a regular system, regular controllers, because they have to buy the systems themselves. So, they had like a pre-order go up, and people were disappointed, couldn't get what they wanted, that kind of thing, and became really big babies about it. And then they started issuing death threats to the company. It's really a fucking shame. And so they called off the entire thing altogether. They said, we don't need this. Fuck you guys.
Yep.
So, it's by Super 5, I think is the company. And they apparently had, they deleted their Twitter account and everything. So it was really, really crazy. I mean, I think everybody got their refunds. But it was crazy. It was weird. So they kind of just dropped off the face of the earth. So they're refunding all of the orders and everything. It's really getting really crazy with the death threats. Like almost every time I look at something where somebody's mildly disappointed, they're getting death threats these days. I don't understand it. I don't know what the mentality is, other than I don't think we're policing it hard enough. Because if death threats were taken as credible, more credible, people actually got in trouble for them, they wouldn't be doing them.
Yeah.
So that's
been a problem for years.
I really think the police should start taking these way more seriously, because then people would stop doing it. This is really awful, and I mean this is starting to get into national kinds of stuff too. Threats online are still threats,
Yep.
and they can be credible. So this is terrible. This company just didn't really do anything wrong. Maybe they botched, a rollout or something, but like they don't deserve this shit. They don't deserve people making death threats over a fucking video game thing. Come on. This is ridiculous. They do look cool. I mean, and you have the right to be disappointed if you don't get one, but Jesus Christ. Is this important? I don't think so. Well, this one you also linked to me, so I'll let you roll it out.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much to say about it, but the actual news is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
But there were these games called Rockman EXE, Phantom of Network, and Legend of Network. And they were Java phone games. So, like, those
Flip
games
phones.
are fucking gone. Except they're not. Somebody was able to actually recover them, so it may be possible to be able to play them later on, which would be amazing. Which also, by the way, I'm the only person outside of Japan who cares about this, but maybe they could recover the 2 Kingsfield phone games. That'd be nice.
Well, just to give you an idea of what needed to happen in order for this to happen is, like, somebody still needed to have that data on their phone, and they still needed to have their phone from that era. And it needed to be working, it needed to be not corrupted, they needed to remember that they had it, like all that shit. There are, as good as we are at preserving things like console video games, like, we pretty much have a perfect, Pirates have a perfect set of a lot of different things at this point. But there are, things that they still overlook. I mean, mostly because of how dense it is. And interest, I guess, because you need to have an interest for it. But, like, think about this. There are all kinds of Java phone games and iPhone games and Android games that have not been preserved because there's billions of them. And, who's going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And most, the vast majority of them are garbage. Let's just face it. So, probably only the really popular stuff has been preserved. But at the same time, something doesn't need to be popular to be good. So it stinks that a lot of people's first start as video game developers are going to be lost. That kind of thing. Because the environments can no longer support these things, or that kind of thing. So there's going to be black and white, the original black and white movies, the vast majority of them have disappeared because people didn't think they were important. They literally taped over all of the original masters of the first couple seasons of Doctor Who, and those are historically significant. But they taped over them because they didn't think anybody would ever give a shit. And that's a true story that happened. I think they found a lot of them recently at a South African BBC affiliate, which is really interesting. But if you had gone back to the BBC, apparently they were going to destroy Monty Python's Flying Circus, all of it, and the guys actually went down there. I think it was Terry Gilliam who actually bought it from them and said, "You are not destroying this. I'm buying it from you. I will raise any amount of money, whatever you need," because they just wanted to tape over it with football games, soccer games.
Yeah.
Which are by their nature something you could throw away. After it's done, you have the stats. Who gives a shit? Unless something extraordinary happens during it, who gives a shit about a random soccer game? So it's a big shame. So I'm glad stuff like this is happening, especially for Japanese games, which we don't have access to. Maybe we'll have access to a fan translated version of this sometime in the future. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from that, SNK had a bunch of announcements here over the week. So you had the announcement of the Samurai Showdown Season 3 DLC with Cham Cham, who is what looks to be like
cave girl,
like a cave girl with a boomerang.
I think she's a boomerang.
Yeah,
she's been
like
around.
A gigantic boomerang, which is really neat. And Hibiki, who is a character from Last Blade.
So that's 2 of the 4. We don't yet know who the other 2 will be. This is the start of the Season 3 reveal.
Yeah, so I these were really neat. This is, I think, the first time since, was it SNK versus Capcom 2, where a Last Blade character has showed up with...
who was still Hibiki.
Yeah, with, Samurai Showdown characters. So, which is kind of funny because...
and Nakaruru.
Yeah, it's still kind of funny because you would think that there would be a lot of crossover there just because, of what it is. But
yeah, that's true. Like, that's their whole thing. It's sword fighting.
Yeah, it's feudal Japan sword fighting by SNK. Why don't these two meet? I don't understand. I know they're different fighting styles, and that's the point. They're different kinds of fighting games, but I mean, this is great. I mean, Samurai Showdown is a fantastic game. I really love it. It's fun for a newcomer too, and there are lots of guest characters, and that's always fun. So. I definitely recommend it, even for a novice. I'm not a a really good fighting game player. I spectate mostly, but I do like a good match of Samurai Showdown every once in a while with a friend, and I really like it, so I definitely recommend it. Then King of Fighters 2002 on Steam, I believe, Ultimate Match, which is one of the best King of Fighters games ever made, is finally getting rollback online, which is awesome. This is the improved, awesome online that Code Mystics puts out. Really, really cool stuff. I think maybe even the PS4 version is getting this, therefore the PS5. So that's really, really cool stuff. I think it has the largest King of Fighters roster ever in that specific game.
Damn.
So, when people cite like the best King of Fighters games of all time, King of Fighters 98 shows up. 2002 is also one of the best ones, and the most current one, which is 14. And 13's up there too. So nobody ever says 12.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because it's kind of pared down. But be rest assured that 2002 is in the running for like the best King of Fighters game. If you talk to a fan, they're either going to probably say 98 or 2002 or the most current one. So it's really neat. And it's just getting better, to play online. So that's amazing. They also announced King of Fighters 14 Ultimate Edition. So that's an all-in-one package with all the DLC characters for 14. I did not realize this, but maybe I forgot. But the DLC characters include Rock Howard, which hasn't been in a King of Fighters game since the Maximum Impact series, which is the 3D games.
Oh, wow.
So he had never been in a King of Fighters game before that. He had been in just Garou, Mark of the Wolves, and again, SNK versus Capcom 2.
Capcom versus SNK.
And Rock Howard is like one of the coolest characters that they ever made, and they squander him constantly.
Yeah.
So it's really neat that they actually put him in their flagship series here. So this is really, really cool. He might be my favorite character in all of SNK. So he's really neat. Has the powers of both Geese and Terry. So
yeah, it's pretty great.
Really cool stuff. And his design's just neat. I just love the jacket he wears and all that stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there and say that he's going to be in that Ultimate Edition. And they also revealed 15, which
it's a big deal.
Yeah,
and they had
neat.
The classic characters in the trailer: Kyo, Mai, Benimaru, Leona.
Mai wasn't in KOF 12, I think.
You know, they made a big deal about that. They're like, how do you remove... I mean, it's like, how do you remove, like,
How you have
Ryu... Well, no,
don't have
not really
Chun-Li.
Ryu. It's like, how do you remove, like, Chun-Li
Yeah,
from Street
exactly.
Fighter? Which they tried in Street Fighter 3, and then they brought her back.
Yeah, well, she didn't make it until Third Strike, I think, right?
I don't remember when she made it back. I just know that Third Strike has Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Akuma, but, like, the original didn't have any of those.
Yeah, they gradually added characters.
Yeah, fine, we'll bring them back, jeez.
Well, Garo only had Terry in it.
Yeah.
They had like characters that were kind of similar.
Well, yeah, like
a lot of other
Rock, like, well, he's tied to Geese Howard, so it makes sense, but the other characters, I think, were just their own thing.
Well, you had the little ninja guy who kind of played like Mai, who's supposedly his son. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, Mai and Andy, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Moving on from that, you linked this to me. Apparently, there's an Evangelion Tamagotchi.
Yeah, for pre-order, which is fucking weird. So it's like Asuka and Rei.
Oh, you raised the girls. That's creepy. I thought it would be something like Adam or something like that.
Oh my god.
It'd be like the better thing. If
yeah, and like the low-hanging fruit joke is like, if you remove if you let them die, if you remove the battery, it's third impact.
Well, if you keep them alive, you do way better than anybody else ever did for them. Honestly.
You have to buy 3 Rei Tamagotchis.
Still, Shinji isn't being raised by anybody. That's the implication of this.
Oh my god.
By the worst dad in fiction history.
He's way up there.
He's fucking terrible. One of my favorite Evangelion memes is that King of the Hill one. Like Peggy, Hank, you're gonna have to go in the Ava again, or we're gonna have to put Peggy back in. She's like in that podcast.
Oh Jesus.
It's amazing. But anyway, moving on from that, just another reminder that Rolling Gunner, one of my favorite shmups of all time, is getting its DLC on the 14th this week, so in a couple days. Definitely worth it, worth the total package too if you don't own it already. So please definitely pick that up. There's also another Dojin shmup called Missile Dancer that was like one of the titles that a lot of shmup fans used to sign up for a Japanese eShop account for. That is actually coming to the West, so definitely snatch it up. It's only going to be $10, and it is beautiful. It looks kind of like almost like a Ray Force or a Ray Storm, you know, with that like lock-on kind of mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a lot of fun, and like the pixel art is really neat. So I'm excited about that. And Razion EX, which is a shmup that had been made by a homebrew company for the Neo Geo AES. It's like one of those post-mortem games that every once in a while comes out for an old system. That was really well done. Apparently is coming out on Switch, so it won't be locked to a platform where you have to pay thousands of dollars for a really rare cartridge.
Yeah.
You know, which is what happens with Neo Geo stuff. You know, they'll put out like a fan will put out like 100 copies of something, and then that's that. And of course, none of the ROM carts support it because they don't want to pirate a fan game, and so it's like impossible to play for the vast majority of people that want to play it, unfortunately. So those things spike up in value. Well, this is really good. The company that made that is going to have a much wider release on probably the biggest platform there is at the moment. So that's really cool stuff. Also moving on from that, DSiWare seems like it's kind of in flux at the moment. So DSiWare was the first, really kind of the first DLC kind of or downloadable content delivery system that Nintendo ever worked on. I think it predates WiiWare, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound right?
Maybe. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Yeah, I
I don't
can't
know.
think of
Maybe
anything else.
even I'm not 100% on this, but I remember when I was looking up games for the original DS that had backwards compatibility with GBA, I think some EA game in there had the option for you to buy something, which is classic EA, but that'd be original DS.
Yeah, I think you could download like free stuff for DS, but you couldn't pay for anything. So its launch
I'll
date
have to double check.
was November 1st, 2008. Was DSiWare. So let me see what WiiWare was. WiiWare. So let me take a look here. WiiWare launched March 25th, 2008. So it does beat it. Or no, it does not. It actually, yeah, WiiWare does beat it by about 6 months. But anyway, DSiWare was like a pretty neat, a novel idea at the time. But the problem was it kind of fractured the DS's base, kind of like releasing any kind of attachment or anything midway through a life cycle of a system. You're always going to have some kind of attrition, and so like adding like a Sega CD kind of attachment or something like that to a Genesis, you're gonna not nearly have as many people jump aboard, and upgrade. DSi was like that. DSi had new features, but including games that you could only buy for it. You can buy it for the original DS because it didn't have the capability. So there were like a few really interesting games for this. Probably the most notable was the second Shantae game, which ended up getting ported later to a lot of other stuff. But like early on, it was probably the game to have for this platform. There was also some other cool stuff that ended up showing up. Like there was like Dark Void Act Zero, which kind of really kicked off the indie like pixel demake kind of thing going on, because it was like a almost like a promotional demake of Dark Void, and it ended up being more popular than the actual Dark Void video game. It's kind of funny. But there were other cool stuff in there, like the was it the Pixel. There was Photo Dojo, which was a lot of fun. Remember putting Photo Dojo together?
Best game ever made.
Which was kind of like make your own digitized Mortal Kombat, right? There was what was the name of these? There was like a bunch of mini games that were really really fun, and I forget what they were called. There was the GG series games; those were a lot of fun. There was also a WarioWare game that was DSiWare only. I think there was some Electroplankton stuff. Yeah. There was a bunch of really cool or art. Yeah, it was Art Style. Yeah, the Art Style series, which were a lot of fun. So anyway, the DSiWare shop closed a little while ago. It's discontinued in 2017. We actually covered it back then, and but it still kind of lived on because the vast majority of those games were still downloadable via the 3DS eShop. So for the most part, you could get pretty much all of the big games that I just mentioned still on that. So people started noticing that games were disappearing off of that service, the 3DS one this week. But apparently, they on the January 7th, some of them started reappearing, and then on the 9th, all but 13 titles returned. So, like, the missing games include 5 in 1 Solitaire, who gives a shit, Dr. Mario Express, which would probably be a shame, and 4 games from the Pet series. So this is all from Silicon era. So there's some there's some cool stuff. That Dr. Mario is a cool series. You would want to have access to everything if you could. So it's really kind of weird. So they and apparently who's the company that makes Shantae? WayForward. WayForward didn't even know about it, that kind of thing. So and Nintendo hasn't commented on it. So it's just kind of one of those things. Like, maybe it's not long for this world, that kind of thing. And also they've announced that they are taking off Netflix off of 3DS and Wii U. And I think the entire service stops in March. Not that I think that many people are watching it via those platforms. You can pretty much watch those via your phone and all that kind of, any kind of tablet or any other kind of device. So it's just, this is another reminder that, our digital future is ephemeral, and it kind of stinks. And I'll let you say this next one.
What? All right, so there's not too much to talk about for me personally, even though the information is incredible. But people have been working on a fan translation for the PSP game Yakuza Black Panther, and it's not done, but the main story, I think, has been translated, so you could download a semi-translated version of the game and play through it if you so desired, which is incredible, because it's more Yakuza, and this is the thing that nobody talks about. So I would love to be able to get my hands on that.
Yeah.
I don't even know anything about the game, except that you're not Kiryu.
Yeah, I mean, I am so far behind in Yakuza, my interest in this is on the low side, but it's also a major series, and we should have access to,
Yeah, except for getting one last trophy, I'm caught up on all the Western releases.
Yeah, I'm still playing 7, but I'm having a really good time with it. So this is really cool though, because there's plenty on the PSP that never made it over to the US.
Kingsfield, 2 more Kingsfield games.
Yeah, we
can you believe that there's fucking 8 Kingsfield games?
There were plenty of really interesting PSP games, because there was kind of a cult. It was a really popular system over there because of Monster Hunter. So
yeah,
they had all kinds of stuff that we didn't get. And if you ask me, that's probably the last system that had all kinds of games on it that we never got. I can't think of anything past that where we didn't get just about almost everything.
Yeah.
That we have any interest in. There are very few Vita games that we didn't get that
Danganronpa, back when we didn't care about VNs of any kind.
Yeah. I mean,
we got Danganronpa later on the Vita,
vast majority
but
of PS3 games I haven't needed to import, except for a few shmups here and there.
Yeah, I've only imported a couple, and even then, sometimes that was just
at the time, you
yeah, I wanted a physical copy of Siren Blood Curse, but America got it,
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted JoJo All-Star Battle because I knew for a fact America wouldn't get it, but then America got it.
Yeah, exactly. The KO or the Yakuza Fist of the North Star game too,
well, I didn't import that, but
I
was surprised that we actually got it.
Probably would have, because
well, that was PS4 though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's a game you never thought would ever come here. And
oh yeah, well in the PS3 era, they were starting to think Americans wouldn't care or wouldn't understand, so that's why Yakuza 3 got so butchered. And then
not only that, but it has a license.
Yeah, and then we raised our voices, and they're like, all right, here's 4, and
now
you know what?
Here's
5 too.
We have. Now it's one of the the Yakuza series is one of the big.
It's the most popular Sega series in America right now.
It's amazing. It happened because of people like us trumpeting it since the beginning, since the PS2.
Well,
so.
I was late. I did play the PS2 games, but I didn't start until after Yakuza 4.
I didn't actually play it, but I was always buying them.
yeah.
And telling people to buy them. Moving on from that. So this is something that popped up in my Twitter feed, and I think it's definitely on the DL. But some crazy person released a patch for Fire Emblem, the second Fire Emblem GBA game to make it into Fire Emblem the Gilmore Girls.
I can see that happening. It's important.
Monsters have invaded Stars Hollow, and it's up to you, our two favorite leading ladies, to send them back to hell.
did they sass them to death?
In our 1 hour FE8 mod, play as the cast of characters we know and love from everybody's favorite TV show, Gilmore Girls. This mod features 4 custom maps, multiple playable characters, witty dialogue, including
I'll bet it is witty dialogue.
Depictions of a normal mother-daughter relationship. Not true.
Okay.
But what's cool about this is that it's a unique game. 4 custom maps.
Nice.
This is not just like a reskin.
Look out, Fire Emblem nerds. This one's on. It's just like Yakuza Streets of Rage. True Yakuza fan. If you don't play the one level they made for
this is amazing.
Yakuza.
Yeah, I'm gonna link this to you because it's great. It has digitized photos of the Gilmore Girls
nice.
In the game. I am definitely downloading. I downloaded this already because I don't want it to disappear. It's on itch.io, so you can download this for free. It just gives you the patch.
Sure.
So this isn't the ROM, but who the hell knows whether this can live on for longer, much longer. So I just had to bring this to people's attention. And
by the way, I forgot to mention this. I speaking of not living on for much longer and people get a chance to have it, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. But you know how you brought up the Zelda Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon PC mods that disappeared?
Yep.
That just reminded me, at GDQ, they actually played through Wand of Gamelon on the CDI.
I have to say that even in the vastly improved state, those games are still garbage.
Of course.
I tried playing it, just to see. I was like, maybe it's not so bad since they improved it, heavily.
No, those games are jank, and you could tell just by looking. You could tell by watching someone else play. Why aren't you playing better? It just looks jank. You could tell.
Garbage. It's garbage. It's hard to play. It's hard to discern what to do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fucked.
But you do have the cutscenes. You killed me.
I
Good.
Could just watch those. I could just watch those. In the same kind of vein, there was a project going around called the Unworked Designs patches a few years back, probably in around 2017 or so. And the goal of this was working designs back in the day localized a lot of games that normally wouldn't have gotten a chance to get localized, like a lot of RPGs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the time, certain things were like universal truths, RPGs didn't sell well, overly Japanese things didn't sell well, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's why so many PS1 and before era games have that awful westernized art.
Yeah.
Like that Mobile Light Force
Suikoden.
and Time Gal.
Suikoden 1. Just look at Suikoden 1.
Suikoden 1.
Yeah.
2, they were like, no, we're going full Japanese on this
2
one.
2 was fine. Suikoden 1.
Yeah, 1 is like, what?
Yeah, but so they really did a great service very early on. They first got their start on PC Engine, TurboGrafx 16, localizing the titles for that, and then they moved on to Sega CD. And they put out some really great titles on them, on both those systems. And then they got really, really well known during the PS1 era because they brought over Lunar there. Lunar 1 and 2 were they had actually had brought over the original versions of them for the Sega CD, but then
I was going to mention they got a Sega CD and a PS1 release.
They later re-released them on PS1 when those versions came out. But here's the thing: when they did so, they gave them kind of topical, in a lot of ways, translations at the time, just to kind of make them funny and offbeat. Kind of like what they did with Samurai Pizza Cats or Crayon Shin-Chan when they localized those animes. They kind of threw the script out and kind of made their own. Just to
I remember
catch
Old Man
people's attention.
Stompy, back when Old Man Stompy Let's Play Alundra, there were jokes that were clearly not in the Japanese version.
They're like Clinton jokes and stuff like
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
You know,
in this ye old fantasy RPG.
Yeah, so like sometimes they kept pretty true to it, but they did things like heavily censored it. But like the worst thing that they ever did is in a lot of games they rebalanced them in a way that made them harder because they were really afraid of people returning games after they beat them back in the day, and they threw off the balance totally for these games, especially
Silhouette Mirage.
So, well, Silhouette Mirage is still fucked. Nobody's fixed that yet. So
yeah, you basically just import the Japanese version and fucking learn Japanese.
Yeah, exactly.
or like or go download like a Word file that has the script on it.
Just play the Saturn version and try to fight your way through it. You know, but it's an action game, so you can feasibly do it.
Yeah.
But they completely and utterly destroyed that game. They also destroyed
even like Resident Evil, which was a Capcom game. Like the ink ribbons are worth 2 instead of 3. Like until the director's cut came out.
Yeah, they
auto aim was turned off.
Working Designs ended up destroying a couple games this way. There's the second Exile game for TurboGrafx 16 is essentially unwinnable because you can't get through the last dungeon because they increased the hit points of the bad guys to so much so that you can't physically beat them. So the only way to beat the game is to get knocked back off the screen up towards the top.
Yeah, that's that's what speedrunners would call damage boosting. That's literally like speedrun tech. With this clever move, we're able to do this, and like that's what you have to do.
Yeah, so they completely ruined that game. They also completely ruined Lunar 2 Eternal Blue for the Sega CD. The Sega CD version in particular, they really fucked. To the point where I think it costs. I think they something like it costs experience to save your game. Like,
fuck
shit,
that!
Like bullshit that never existed in the original game. You know, just like making it like obnoxiously hard to the point where you don't even play the games anymore. And so they fixed this game up pretty darn good, but they made an update patch where they kind of put back some partial nudity in and restored some other things that were censored and things like that.
Sure.
After all this time, they finally updated one of these projects, which is really neat. Hopefully, eventually they'll do it to Silhouette Mirage, which is still like the one game that has been left over from all this. They fixed Exile 2. You would never want to play the original version of Exile 2. They made it over here. It's just way too hard. Also, wanted to mention that I saw this review on YouTube that was like a hell of a review. It was like a 5-hour review by Tim Rogers, where he reviewed the original Tokimeki Memorial, which is a dating sim, a foundational dating sim game made by Konami for the PC Engine that none of them ever made it over to the United States. It's also a game that Koji Igarashi worked on, in his time at Konami before he worked on Symphony of the Night. So it's a foundational game and a really neat one to learn about. And he just like has this exhaustive, really funny, but also super detailed and also super irreverent review. It's on the Action Button YouTube channel. I absolutely recommend going and watching it. Like even just like watch it in pieces. You know, you don't watch 5 hours in a row of it. But
yeah,
it's amazing. It's really fun. Also, WandaVision is out this week. I also wanted to quickly mention that. I think it's on the 14th as well. That is the first Disney, since Disney acquired, like all of Fox and Marvel. Like, I think this is like the first TV show that they're producing since like they acquired all of it. Like all of their other TV shows before this, they didn't have complete control over. And this is the first one that they are releasing on on Disney Plus and their own streaming platform. The other ones that they had before this, Luke Cage and all those other stuff were done in conjunction with Netflix, and all those shows have since been canceled. Jessica Jones and all that stuff. So it's pretty neat to see that. Plus, this has potential to have far-reaching consequences in the Marvel universe, just because of the nature of Scarlet Witch. She has completely shaped the Marvel universe several times in the comic book universe. She's usually the inflection point for rebooting their entire continuity. She's done it a couple times with Heroes Reborn and House of M, I think, is the other one. So WandaVision has potential to be that kind of thing for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So this is potentially really exciting, and it's of course really ties into the movies. Most of the other Marvel TV shows don't really have the actors from the movies in them. They just kind of have the side characters.
Yeah.
So I mean, Coulson was in Agents of Shield, but that's about it. That's the most. You also had Agent Carter. She was also a movie character, but hardly any of the other ones have ever crossed over. So I think this is really neat, and I hope it's good. And you had a quick little thing here.
Yeah, this is super quick. Congratulations to One Piece. On January 4th, it released Manga Chapter 1000.
Wow.
So, I don't know what it is, because spoilers, I'm following the anime, so I'm behind. The only thing I can tell you is
that the chapter... You don't read the manga?
No. The only thing I can tell you is that the chapter is called Straw Hat Luffy. So... Maybe it'll be character-centric, because, that's something you'd expect to be, Chapter 1, but it's 1000. So who knows? I don't know if it'll be a celebratory chapter or what, but maybe I'll find out.
I've been seeing a lot of Ace around lately. Did he get revived or something?
Nope.
No?
I mean, if he's in the manga, then that's something else, but
okay.
Ace is very much dead.
Okay, and still dead. Okay.
Yeah, I mean... somebody else has the devil fruit power that he had. It's over.
Gotcha.
Because that's a thing in the lore, is that when someone with the devil fruit power dies, there are not two identical devil fruits.
Yeah.
In the wild. So when someone who has a certain devil fruit power dies, God knows how this works, it's just how the universe works, but a devil fruit with that power will grow somewhere in the world. So somebody else could theoretically get it, but you're not going to have two fire users unless somebody's able to manufacture devil fruit powers, which is kind of what somebody's been trying to do, but outside of that, nope.
Okay, well, fair enough. I want to start watching it, but I don't want to start watching it. It's one of those.
And by the way, don't talk to me about Resurrection either, because the resurrection fruit was taken. That's Brooke.
Oh, see, I don't know anything.
He died.
Yeah.
That's how his power activated.
Dead man is dead.
Yeah, when he ate his fruit, nothing happened. All that could happen was that, he can't swim now. It's a waste of a power.
Yeah.
And then he was killed. Then he came back. And he's oh, there it is.
He's just a skeleton, though, because, none of him was left. Right?
Yeah, he was supposed to come back earlier because his soul left his body, but he died in this area of exceedingly great mist, and his soul couldn't find his body. So when it finally did, he was decomposed. Yeah. So even though he's a skeleton, he's alive and can eat. And even though it doesn't make sense, but he can. The manga hand waves it because it's funny.
Yeah. And one last thing here. We have the unfortunate news. R.I.P. Jonas Neubauer, who is a 7-time Tetris champion. Probably one of the best Tetris players in the entire world, died very suddenly at age 39. They said of a medical emergency, so probably something very sudden. They didn't specify, but something very sudden. Very, very sorry to hear that. I didn't know him personally, and I don't know much, but it sounds like he was pretty beloved by a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people looked up to him because if you can win that title 7 times, like
you're a madman if you can win it one time.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it when everybody's trying to be number 1 as well. The Afro Samurai thing. Everybody's coming to get you.
Yep. It's way scarier to be number 1 than it is to be number 2.
It's way scarier to be number 2 than anybody. In Afro Samurai, number 2 is the worst thing to be. Because lower down the line, I guess, because everybody's fighting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Number 1's not so bad because only one person can challenge you.
Oh, that's a good point. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot that was the rule. Never mind then.
Only number 2 can challenge number 1, and that was the point.
Okay.
But being number 2 really sucks.
Yep.
Because you have constant challenges, and hell if you're going to beat number 1. Because
I forgot that. I was thinking of Hull Horse's philosophy from JoJo, like where number 2 is the best position to be because you're as powerful as you can get without everyone targeting you because you're not the big boss.
That's the spiked shell philosophy, right? You want to be a close but not so close number 2, just in case the spiked shell shows up in Mario Kart.
Pretty much, yeah. Like except for literally except for Afro Samurai, like nobody makes a point of hunting down the number 2 guy. Yeah. Like nobody even knows who that is.
Yeah. But I do want to stress that there are lots of people that are great at Tetris. I mean, all over the world. It is one of the most popular games in the entire world. Literally played by more people than most other video games. It probably. My mom knows how to play Tetris. And my mom doesn't know how to play anything.
My parents did back in the day as well.
Yeah, so I mean, it was the game that the Clintons played on the on Air Force One. Back when they were in the White House. So it's just like one of those things. So. I think that will do it. I mean, we went a little late here, but we had a lot to go over. Do you have anything else that you want to go over there, Lotus?
Nah, I think I'm set.
Okay, that's the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed. That is the wrong script. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness and YouTube SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. I thought I was doing pretty good with that saying 2021 all right. But then
your intros are still just pristine.
I just fucked it up, though. Let's scratch it and reverse it. Come on, let's do it.
Yes.
It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. We should go on some other kind of tangent here and then go back to the script.
Man, I want to go to bed.
You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. We will be going over James Bond Part 3. That'll be our third podcast on James Bond, and we should return to Spider-Man too as well one of these days. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, like Little Hope, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Okay, so we will catch everybody on Thursday for that bonding that
you
guys. We'll catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.